And the Finley Family was this traveling musical ministry. We played all of our own music and we sang all of our own vocals. Everything that people heard was live. It required a lot of practice and a lot of time working on our songs. But the first moment that was life-changing happened after a concert. And there was one lady that she came up to me and she handed me a necklace, and it has a golden chain, and it had a cross pendant. And she shared with me that this necklace was actually a family heirloom that had been passed down for several generations. And she says, "I want you to have it." And it didn't make any sense to me. But along with that, she said, "While I was listening to your family sing, while I was watching you sing and watching you play instruments, God told me He has great things planned for your life." So my next moment, it was a moment that kind of was a surprise. And it came at the end of the concert as well. And it was an odd moment. I was standing after a concert, and I was talking with a lady, and she asked me the #1 most popular question at that time. I was 18, and she asked me, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And I said, "No, I don't." And so then she asked me the second most popular question, and that was, "Well, why not?" And so generally I would kind of explain the fact that I'm on tour, and I'm not home very often, and I'm homeschooled, and it just hadn't happened. But that night I found myself answering that question in a new way. And I said, "I don't have a boyfriend because I'm waiting for a pastor." And so I was in contact with this man who was the associate pastor at the First Southern Baptist Church in Porterville, California. And he and I were emailing back and forth. And, his name was Luke Gertner. And I remember thinking the first time that I was in contact with him that he must be old, because Luke Gertner was an old man's name. And so we got to the church months after I first started emailing old man Luke Gertner. And he walked in the door and he says, "Hi, I'm Pastor Luke. It's nice to finally meet you." And the first thoughts, thankfully I reined them in, my first thought was, "You're young." My second thought was, "You're good looking." I kind of came to the point where I was really excited about life. God had promised me these great things, and the great things were starting to happen. And the next life-changing moment that I want to talk about stole my breath in a very bad way. Luke had been feeling really bad, and he had had pneumonia, and so we had taken him to the doctor, and they'd given him antibiotics, and it just didn't do anything. And so I had eventually taken him to the emergency room. And if any of you have watched the TV show House, then you know what that day was like for me. I felt as if I was in that TV show, and what went from getting antibiotics, it changed, and they took him and they put him in this little quarantine room because they didn't know what he had. And they were afraid it was highly contagious. And so for a while they thought he had tuberculosis. And then for another while they thought that he had some other contagious disease. And I remember we had 3 children at this point. Our littlest wasn't even 2. And we lived in Sacramento. We didn't have any family there. All of our family was up north. And so I was scrounging to find babysitters to watch our children so I could go to the hospital to be with Luke. I finally got my children secure with a babysitter. And I'd gone back to the hospital, and I put on this gown, and I put on a little mask that reminds you to brush your teeth. And I walked into his hospital room, and I sat on the bed. And he looked me in the eye, and he said, "I have cancer." And for a moment, I couldn't even think. And I remember looking at the IV that was dripping into the line and going into his arm. And as I was watching that drip, I remember thinking, this is insane. He can't have cancer. And then immediately, in my mind, flashed through every person that I'd ever known that had passed away from cancer. The bad thing that I had felt coming happened 3 days before Christmas of 2011. Luke was diagnosed with stage 4 non-smoker's lung cancer. And I remember pleading with God, saying, God, you cannot take him from me, because I have waited for him. And he is the person that you had for me to marry, and he is part of those great things. When I surrendered, I realized that those great things, they're not about me. You see, all the moments of my life, the good and the bad, everything represented here, are meant to build upon one another, to show the message of the cross. But if I refuse to surrender my life to the use of God and to surrender to his plan, those moments remain scattered on the ground. God wants to work in your life, and he wants to do great things. But in order to recognize those great things, you have to realize it is not about you, and it is not about me, but it's completely about him. And the message is that we need to have the strength to stand up and be different. We need to have the strength to stand up and do what God asks us to do. And so I wrote a novel, and the main character, she has that strength. Doing what God calls you to do is extremely hard, but it's worth it. And my late husband, he used to say all the time, anything worthwhile takes a lot of hard work, but it's always worth it.